All right, this is the Sleepers Media official conference tournament preview episode. We're going to go conference by conference through the 6 major conferences, and we're bringing in expert guests with us as well. The first of whom is Terence Oglesby. You can find him on the field of 68 and calling games all over in the Coastal Conference and beyond, from what I hear.
Southern Conference
right now, but have you done an ACC one too?
A couple.
Yeah,
I've done a few pre-conference stuff. So yeah,
you're all over.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying. I got to do the quarterfinal day, but the quarterfinal day at the SoCon, and then Randolph Childress took the last 2, like the good games. So he got those ESPN, but that's fine. No, it was fun. That's Southern Conference, man. Those top two teams.
Yeah,
good.
It was a good one yesterday. We'll have to make RC pay for that when we're on the road together later this month. But all right, let's jump right into this because T.O.'s a family man, so he's sacrificing quality time with his children and with his dog for us today. So we gotta capitalize here. Let's jump right into this. Obviously, we're off the Duke North Carolina game last night. The bracket is set. We've got Duke as the 1 seed. Notre Dame and Carolina are the 2 and 3 on the opposite side of the bracket. T.O., what jumps out to you as far as initial impressions of this bracket heading into this conference tournament?
Some of the pathways to get to the semifinal round for a couple of teams on the first day of the tournament, it just makes it possible. I'm not saying it's probable. It makes it possible because we've been talking about how weak the ACC been, and it has been weak. I mean, there's no secrets there. But at the same time, there's a couple of teams that have played well, including my Clemson Tigers, who have all of a sudden rattled off 4 in a row. Now they're on the first day as a 10 seed. They play NC State. Next round, they play a team they just beat in Virginia Tech. Next round after that, they'll play Notre Dame, who they've had some success against. It's like, what's going on? And I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but it's also not outside the realm of possibility. I think that's one of the big things. Outside of that, Syracuse, Florida State ended up at an 8-9, and that says about all you need to know when it comes to the kind of year that the ACC has had. It's been a rough go of it, but after an impressive performance, I think the fact that Carolina ended up at 3 is a win in my book for Hubert Davis and company, especially after the pre-conference stuff we saw with some of these massive losses, and not just kind of losing, like absolutely getting throttled. For them to be able to get a 3 seed, be it a 2-day bye going in, it's been in retrospect, they needed to learn a little bit, and they've grown from the things that happened early in the season. Carolina team is one to be reckoned with moving forward. I mean, they played really well last night.
Yeah, me and Greg were actually talking about it before we got on here. Like, for as much as people want to weigh in on what Carolina did earlier in the year, like you said, they had picked it up as of late, and this is a team with talent. Straight up. I mean, RJ Davis and Caleb Love, I don't really know if you could really want a more fun backcourt. Brady Mannix coming on, being able to knock down shots. Like, this is a fun team. And for them to go into Cameron last night and win that game with everything that was going on, that's like got to be one of the best wins of the year, like for any team in college basketball, I feel like.
Yeah. How great was it that Coach K, he's like, no,
it was
you could just see it was still there.
Quiet. It's quiet. It was unacceptable. No.
It was like when your grandpa, who doesn't really speak much, and like he's like the sweet one, and grandma runs the house, and then all of a sudden, like Coach K, he just popped out of him, just like, hey man, everybody else talks a lot, but everybody knows who the boss is. Yeah. No, let me finish. It was like, Jesus. Okay.
I was like, all right.
Great. All the fans are so sweet. Like, all these people are crying. Coach K he's pissed.
Yeah.
The entire time he's pissed.
Yeah, I enjoyed watching every second of that. We were drinking a little bit last night before we headed out. We went bowling last night, and we made sure to stick around and watch his entire speech, because watching Coach K cringe in that moment was top-notch television. So you gave us a non-top seed in Clemson, who could potentially make a run here. Of the top 4 teams that have the double byes, who do you think has the toughest path here? And obviously Duke, I mean, should be able to get to the final no matter who they play, but I'm a little intrigued. Like Florida State and Syracuse, I know Syracuse hasn't played well. Florida State's been super down as well, but like those are 2 programs that for one game can lead to a tough matchup for teams just with the way they play stylistically. Who would you say of the top 4 has a tough path?
You know, I would love to say that Duke has a tough road, but it's Syracuse, that zone and the fact that they can't rebound out of it, and they're so unathletic that Duke is just going to run roughshod through them. Like there's not going to be a whole lot that they can do. The top 4 seed that I think could have a rough time is Miami. And the fact that they're a 4 seed's big time too. I mean, you look at who they could play, it would be the winner of Wake Forest and Boston College and Pitt, which is going to be Wake Forest. That's going to be a tough one from the jump. Alondas Williams and all those guys, Wake Forest can really go, and they've got shooting around some of their playmakers, which makes it a lot of fun to watch. And then Notre Dame, I know they came in second, guys, but it's like I have a hard time trusting them. Like I don't know what it is about Notre Dame, but I just can't wrap my head around them winning the conference.
You know what it is. You've said it this year.
What's that?
Is their defense. They don't guard anybody, T.O.
Well, you say that. Yeah, I mean, we say that, but at the same time, like, and I feel like Rob Doster every time I bring up Ken Palm, but like they have a better defense than Carolina. They have a better defense than Miami. They are neck and neck with, have a better defense in Virginia. Like that's the crazy part about it. Like they're defending, but there's something about the way they play that just makes me hesitant. Like, is that explosive guard Blake Wesley going to be able to carry them all the way through? And he's been relied on a lot. And remember, guys, he's a true freshman. Yeah. So that's one team that I'm looking at that, man, as a 2 seed, I believe like it's going to be hard for them to carry through because it's hard for me to, I don't know what it is about Mike Bray and all those guys, but if they shoot it well, they can beat anybody in the conference. I just don't know that they can beat Duke. And I just don't know that they can beat a Wake Forest or a North Carolina, like those top level teams when it all, they took care of all the games they were supposed to take care of. How are they going to compete against the top of the league is how I feel about them moving forward.
It's just interesting to look at the bracket and just pure visually I'm like Notre Dame is a 2 seed in the ACC. Like call me a hater. It just doesn't make me feel good.
NC State coming in last place.
Yeah.
NC State.
Weird.
Like it doesn't make sense. Like Georgia Tech, who won the league last year, 14th, Louisville 11th. Like it's a weird league. And if you look back at even the overall records, I'm looking at KenPom right now, but like 11-20 NC State, 12-19 Georgia Tech, 11-20 Pitt, Boston College 11-19, Louisville 12-18. Like the bottom 5, it's like embarrassingly bad. Like, and it didn't used to be like that. There used to be 2010 and 2012. There was like at least those bottom teams were around 500 for the overall season. Now it's like you get to 500. Well, good job. Like. It's just not the same as it used to be right now. And I don't know what's got to change. There's like a lot of different things that you can point at to be like, well, they need to change this. Like the coaches need to get the hell out of the way. Like Boeheim needs to get out. Roy got out of the way. Coach K's now getting out. Like Larinaga has been down there. He's going to be able to coach forever because he's living in Miami. His bones feel good because it's 90 degrees in December. So like, is he going to retire ever? Like, you know what I mean? Like there needs to be some movement here. And I'm not sure how quickly it's going to be fixed because the ACC itself is they're able to get all these 5-star kids. Problem is getting 5-star kids, they're leaving early. Look at the Big Ten, they get a bunch of 3- and 4-star kids. They're staying for 4 years. And then you get the Keegan Murrays, you get the Johnny Davises, you get like these different guys that are highly efficient, effective players at the college level because they're sticking around. And the older leagues have traditionally been the better leagues over the past 5 or 6 years, right? So it's interesting to see how all that's morphing together. I don't know the answer, to be honest with you. Like, what's the answer besides getting guys out of the way? There's just so many teams in the conference now.
Yeah, I'm very curious if this is like a 1-year thing or if this becomes a trend as we move forward as Coach K departs. You mentioned we kind of all said Wake Forest in some form early. I was surprised to see they're on the 5 line. I know they've had some struggles down the stretch, but like to me, that's been the second best team in the ACC until North Carolina's come on really strong late. I mean, I love Alondas Williams. To me, he's a guy who could kind of go on a singular type run through this tournament if he's really, really playing well. T.O., if you had to name one guy in the conference who could potentially go team on your back, Kemba Walker style, who would that player be?
Alondas.
Yeah.
I think that's one guy that can do it. Another guy I would look to is somebody like a Charlie Moore at Miami, who's not the main option, but defensively he's been spectacular, averaging over 2 steals a game. He's somebody that can really guard the basketball and flip a game on its head, because there's been times where he's been great, there's been times where he's been bad, but with Miami, having that, they're a double bye, right? They're the 4 seed. With them having that double bye, they've given Duke problems. So if they get past Wake Forest in that first game, they beat Duke at Cameron, they could win again. And it's a team that they have several different guys that can score it. Cam McGusty's been terrific all season. He's my age. So it's like there's so many old players on that team. And then Charlie Moore's kind of been the lightning rod that's been able to spark runs. And like I said, flip a game on its head. So I think Charlie Moore, Cam McGusty, and that Miami team, if we're not talking about Alondas Williams, that's a group of players that I think could take off and get going really quickly.
Yeah, I'm with you on the Miami just based purely off the fact that you got a bunch of guys who've been there before and done this. Like you got a bunch of guys who are probably on their 5th conference tourney runs in their college careers, maybe even more. And, they showed they can do it all this year. You win in Cameron, like you said, you can do it all. All right, T.O., we got to get you on record here, though, for your official ACC tournament pick. So we want to know who matches up in the semifinals and then who makes it to the finals, of course, and then who comes out on top.
I'm sitting here. I think Duke's an obvious one. Carolina is another one that'll be. So you got the 1 and the 3 going for sure. I like a Virginia Tech to upset Notre Dame in the quarters.
Ooh.
So let's go Duke, Carolina, Virginia Tech. It's tough for me between Miami and Wake Forest. That's kind of
it's a good one. It's a good.
That's the tough one. I'm saying, let's see. So Miami won both matchups. It's hard to beat a team twice in a row or 3 times. Give me Wake in round 3. And so that would be Duke, Wake, Virginia Tech, Carolina.
Like that.
We'll have a Duke Carolina finals, and we will force Carroll to shake hands at the end of the game because we're grown-ups. Because we're grown-ups. The players can do it, but because we're grown-ups, we're going to shake hands. Ridiculous.
It was ridiculous. I was making jokes. If Hubert Davis had any self-respect, he would have thrown a punch, get the right hook out. But I guess that's just a Big Ten thing.
I don't condone violence.
Yeah, well, Carter Elliott does. So
I do condone. Not necessarily that. There's a time and a place for all violence, though. Don't know if that was it, but
that's true.
I do condone violence.
All right, so you're going. Would you have Duke beating Carolina in that game in the rematch?
Yeah, I think so. I think Carolina caught lightning in a bottle. There was too much stress on those players. It was like there was just so much more going on than just the game, and those players were just befuddled at everything that was happening. So I think Duke. Imagine the fact that there will be less pressure in an ACC conference championship game than the final regular season game at home. Like that just doesn't happen. So I mean, I think Duke's going to end up winning that game.
Yeah, one of a kind. From a betting perspective, by the way, Duke is the obvious front-running favorite. They're only minus 130 to win this ACC tournament, so pretty close to a pick 'em if you think Duke is just miles ahead of the rest of the conference. Then everybody else is above 8-1. Carolina's 8-1, Wake Forest, Virginia Tech, Notre Dame, all 10-1, Miami 11-1. So my agenda recently, T.O., has been that I think the ACC is actually going to overperform down the stretch run here compared to what people expect.
I think that's true.
I'm not going to be surprised if they get a couple Sweet 16 teams with the way Carolina's playing. If Wake Forest just gets a decent draw, God forbid if a Virginia Tech does end up getting an auto bid here somehow, like if they're picking things up and they're hot, I think we're going to get over 2 teams from the ACC that win at least one game in March. Because of that, I may sprinkle like teams like North Carolina and Wake Forest to win this conference tournament. I don't know that they're that far behind Duke if they play well. We'll see.
You know what's crazy about it is there's always a conference that everybody's like, oh, they're terrible. Oh, they're terrible. And then they'll send like a third of their like 5 or 4 teams, and then every one of them will win in the first round.
Yeah.
Like
it's
Pac-12 last year.
That's right. I mean, everybody's kind of dogging the Pac-12 last year, and they show out big time. So those kind of things happen. And then what happens too is everything's measured in pre-conference, and everybody's like, well, it doesn't matter till you get to conference play. No. It matters. It matters for power conferences. They all matter. Every single one of them. You have to be good in the non-con, because this is when your reputation for your league is established. The non-cons, when you determine how many teams you're going to get in. So to say like, well, we'll get it going come conference season. No, you got to be good all the time, which I think is the big part of this whole thing. Like ACC was so bad in the non-conference that it killed them. Now, what's going to happen is the cream of the crop in the conference is going to be able to be those top 5 seeds, and they're going to be lower seeds. So they're going to get, some interesting draws. But I think, the ACC get 5 in, probably have four teams win in the first round. I don't know who loses, but it's entirely possible that there's a good showing.
Yeah, I'm with you there. After me slandering them all season long, it feels a little weird for me to go on record that I'm in on the ACC right now, but I am. We'll see. Very impressive win from North Carolina last night. Very impressive performance from you, T.O. Thank you for making time for us. We appreciate you. And I'm sure we'll beg you to come back on the show at some point soon.
Just so you know, my daughter walked outside. She's 4 years old. She walked outside. She pulled the chair up to the window, and she's been trying to talk to me through the window because I kicked her out of my office. And then I'm sitting there and I'm looking, and my dog, we have like half an acre backyard. Like, we have a great backyard. It's flat the whole nine, but we have like a bunch of gravel and a fire pit right here. And it's not very big. It's not the nicest thing in the world, but there's a bunch of gravel. I got half an acre back here. My dog goes into gravel and takes a shit. I got everything else, and I can't go and beat this dog because I'm talking to you guys. My daughter's crawling off something. I hope she doesn't break anything. It's absolute pandemonium at the Oglesby house. But here I am. But I do it for Sleepers Media.
We appreciate
that's, man.
Yeah.
in the heartstrings. All right, get out of here, Theo. Thank you, my friend.
All right. Thanks, guys.